Well, thanks for joining us for Going Deeper today. Thank you, Candice, for sharing with
pleasure.
us.
Yeah, good times.
We were sitting in the back end of John chapter 8 today, and there was a few passages in there that were
Pretty
meaty,
hectic.
pretty hectic, pretty heavy. And like, I love the way you just set that up and brought a realistic expression of your lived experience through this, which was really helpful. And as we always want to do as we go deeper, particularly for our home groups, we want to help us live into this follow, gather, go of what it means to be on mission with Jesus. So thinking about that, here's the one where, I think in movies, I think in pop culture, we get half this phrase quite often, which is the truth will set you free. But it's more than that, because Jesus actually said, if you know the truth, the truth will set you free. And Jesus declares himself to be the truth. What does that mean for us in today's world where, particularly if you're our generation or younger, and I know we're not the same generation.
We are not the same generation.
But my generation and yours and younger have grown up in this postmodern world where truth is subjective. Truth is whatever you create it to be, whatever you want it to be.
It's a feeling sometimes.
Yep. But Jesus here is putting a definitive statement out that there is a truth. It's found in the person of Jesus. How does that resonate in our world and our culture, do you think, in our following of Jesus, when the world would tell us, no, truth is whatever you deem it to be?
I think it would feel exactly the same as the Jewish people in this situation. They felt offended, they felt attacked, they felt like their socialized culture, which they had kind of brought up over time in the way that they told stories, in the things that were important at the time. They were being told that that is not the truth. I am the truth. I am the way. Jesus even uses the password of I am to kind of bring them back to a moment where Moses was saying, I'm going to deliver you. And they didn't really want to cross that Red Sea. They got to a point like, no, let's turn back. Let's go back into slavery. We kind of feel the same way if we are being told that we're wrong. We don't like it. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, you're right. And I think for our generation, our culture, to have something definitive as the truth. Because what that does, it takes away our option to invent our own reality. It takes away our option to, we're even hearing this language of what's your truth.
And perceptions
and that
involved.
And it actually removes that option. To follow Jesus is a pretty narrow path, isn't it?
It is. You're looking at one object. Say you were crossing the street and you saw Jesus cross the street. Doesn't matter from which angle you look at him, he's the same person. Doesn't matter your background or culture. Jesus, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And every person can access Jesus and the truth that he declares here on earth.
Yeah. So one of the things you said that I wrote down was that Jesus thinks the same way about every person.
Yes. That is a big one.
There's
a big story
one
behind that for me. I met someone about a year ago, and we got to know each other. And this person, just realized that I was a Christian. I had said openly I was a Christian. I'd said openly that I was a pastor. And a few months into the relationship, this person felt like they were able to talk to me on a deeper level, as you do. Friendships grow. And this person was like, do people ever feel like, or say to you, are you going to convert me? And I'm like, how? How am I going to do that? That is your choice. It's like a real thing. People think that you're going to push truth onto them, but that's not something that you can do. It's an experience that people have with Jesus.
It's a revelation.
Only Jesus can really change and set someone free. I cannot set that person free. It's the Jesus in my life and the relationship that they have with me that allows someone to see a different reality, or see a path that is more truthful, more loving, more
a truer
generous.
reality.
Yeah.
And our job, I think, is to help not only be on the pursuit of that reality ourselves, but help people join us on that journey. So when we gather together as the church, this idea of understanding how Jesus sees me is how he sees you, is how he sees every other person in our gathered community. What does that do to us as a community in terms of the way we relate to one
I
another?
hope it stops us feeling entitled, that we own this truth. And as many truths that I can stack on top, I hope it really breaks that away. It does not matter at what point you are coming to Jesus. It does not make you more important or give you more authority if you know Jesus more. Jesus absolutely blew that out of the water when he said the first would be last. Come to me like a child would come to me.
It's the upside down kingdom, isn't it?
It actually, we can't comprehend it because it's not human structure. We don't look at life that way. So I hope that when we gather together, there is a deep humility in the room around respecting other people and the way that they come to Jesus. And our grace should be as deep as the love that we have for each other. And that love, if we can see Jesus in the way that he loves other people, that grace should be very deep.
Which, when done well, comes back to when Jesus said to his group of disciples, this is how the world will know you are my disciples, the way you
17.
love one another.
Absolutely.
The way you do this life together. And that's what we've got to be aiming for. And it's not through our own strength, it's not through our own decisions, it's the Holy Spirit transforming us, working on us, working in us. And all transformation we've discovered is for the sake of others.
Yes.
It's not for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's really important. So that's the gathering space. In our going space, the understanding that we're on mission with God. God is about redeeming all people back into relationship with himself. You gave a stat that 70%, 7 out of 10 people in our context,
global sample size, Google,
have Googled prayer. And so the word that came to me... I
actually spoke with someone today who can just say, that was me. That was my story.
Yeah, someone in our gathering this morning,
I love you. Thank you for saying that to me.
So
a lot of encouragement.
I'm looking at that. The word that came to me when you were mentioning that was thirst. There's just a thirst of people. Thirst for something that's real, that's...
You can no longer fake happiness. The life that we've lived in the last 2 years, it is so far removed from the place that we have come to find ourselves comfortable in our rhythms and comfortable in our social structures, in our government even. We have to ask real questions now.
So how do we then, as the church, how do we as children of God, the family of God, how do we carry the water? How do we carry the stuff that's going to quench the thirst to the people around us in a practical way?
Yeah, I can only talk to my experience, but the one thing that I needed to change was stop thinking that mission is like you're standing on a platform and preaching, and that's the only real
it's good
picture I've had of mission in my life, even going to Tonga and doing missionary trips. That is not what Jesus has asked the everyday person to do in their go space. So for me, the first step really was just stepping out of my house, even in my house, but we can talk about that later. Stepping out of my house and thinking in my head, I am now carrying the truth that Jesus has placed in my life. I am a set-free person. I'm a person that is healing, and I can be a picture of Jesus in other people's worlds. And that doesn't come when I stand in the corner street and start preaching at people. That comes when I am in relationship with people and I show them that I love them. I show that I'm listening to them. That's a big one. Prayer is about listening. Jesus listens when you pray. So if I can show someone that I'm listening to them, I'm actually showing them who Jesus is.
It's
not always about the things that are coming out of my mouth. It's actually very rarely about the things that's coming out of my mouth. It's about the way that I listen to someone. To be listened to is to be loved.
And I think when we do speak, one of the best things we can do is follow Jesus' example. He asked good questions.
He asked very good questions.
So you touched on the question from a few chapters ago when the paralysed man,
John
do you want to be well?
Yeah.
So let's finish with this. So you did touch on not only that question, but the significance of the mat in that story. Just share your thoughts around that.
That's been a revelation for me. The mat, the weaving together. If I was to look at the statements that I brought today, those 2 chunks of truth, they are very much the ones that I carry, and I feel like they're different for other people, but they are truth. There's some things that I haven't traveled through, therefore I haven't been set free from some things. But the weaving together of those truths, it connects my past with my present and my future. And when I carry that mat, I am acknowledging that Jesus has healed me from many things. Jesus is healing me from many things, and he will heal me from many things. It's a continued journey. And that actually says to the other person, when I'm able to be myself completely and to be confident in the person that Jesus is healing, I'm not saying to that person, I'm better than you. I'm saying to that person, I am doing something just like he is doing something in you, that we are traveling together, that we are both in healing.
Yeah, that's important.
It's not a confronting situation. It's a going together situation.
Yeah, it's not this me judging you, which is often our picture of that mission type, someone standing on a street corner preaching, hellfire and damnation. It's not that, is it? It's the asking the questions, it's the sharing your life story, and it's knowing that we both have our mats.
Yes.
And there's going to be some similarities, there's going to be some differences, but Jesus' call to us is, an invitation. You don't have to stay where you are.
Yes.
His desire is to transform us, to grow us, to shape us, so we can be used to be part of his mission.
So that we can go. Better yet, run.
Yeah.
Can make sure that you don't just sit back down on your mat once you have experienced the healing. And I know you spoke about that, and it was like, to me.
Yeah, it's good.
Pick it up and go.
Yep. So let's do that this week. Hopefully in your home group this week you can have some conversation around this. And we want to be a people who are following Jesus really closely. We gather together to encourage one another, and we go on mission with him to take his good news and his thirst-quenching water into the people around us. So we'll see you again next week when we go deeper again. See you then.